Okay, next item?
Thank you, Dee.
Next item is discussion item.
Yes. What's that? Yeah.
Discussion item for the potential bond.
Yes. That's why we were here tonight, to discuss the potential bond. Trustee Thorpe, I saw first.
Nah, ladies
No, you
first.
go.
We're the day after Mother's Day.
Okay.
It's my present to you.
Trustee Petlicoff.
Happy Mother's
Okay,
Day.
a couple things, and I don't want to come off as negative, but the survey only had a total response of less than 1,000 people. We have 67,000 voters. So that percentage of who actually we're hearing from is very small. It is very small. Just to put it in perspective, there was a May election, and every school district that had a bond or a millage did pass it, but their population that voted in Wayne County, we had Flat Rock Community Schools bond proposal, and less than 12.5% of their voters voted on it, but they approved it.
What, do you know the percentage, Charlie?
12.5%.
No, do you know how
Vote.
much it was voted with, like, how much
Yeah.
yes and how much no?
The yes votes were 687 and the no 358.
About
They're not
Very
giving the
small.
percent, so.
67%,
Yeah.
yeah.
So South Redford had a sinking fund. They had 8.2% of their voters turn out. That was the only thing on their ballot. With a
And it
yes,
did pass
it passed
with,
with a they didn't have the percent
okay,
of
that's fine.
what the winning. Okay, now 13% of voters in Warren went out and voted for and passed a $150 million school bond. So that's the closest to us. They have 13,000 students. But only 13% of the voters came out. What I'm trying to explain is that these all passed during a special election, which has notoriously small voter turnout. And a lot of times the people who turn out, especially if it's only one item, such as but are going to be the people either in support of or in opposition of. And you're not going to get your normal voting population that would see in November. In November, it's going to be a gubernatorial election. It's going to be a higher voter turnout, potentially around probably 30%. And we will have to reach a lot more of the community than the less than 1,000 people we attracted to the survey in order to communicate our message, whatever we decide, if we decide to do something. My only other caution would be this, that we cannot go out, and Trustee Barry knows this, we can't keep going to the community election cycle after election cycle with something on the ballot. So either, my suggestion would be we put it all in now in November for whatever it is we want to plan for, with maybe a sideline for a fourth high school option. Or if we do a sinking fund, which is only going to survive us through the small fixes, and then come again for something bigger, and then come again for some, we will fail more than likely, because we already hear from community members who are struggling with our taxes and how they perceive us coming for taxes from them. So I think that we either have to be bold about it, or we have to have a really good plan and hit it in 2 phases.
Trustee Thorpe.
Looking over the survey and the results, what I thought was that it has something that everyone can point to and say, see, people are thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. I didn't really see anything that was overwhelming that everyone could necessarily get behind, so to speak. I understand exactly what you're saying, Trustee Petlicoff. I would come from the other side, the say that I think the appetite is much better currently for an idea of a sinking fund, so we can get going on things that we know need attention right away. Let the long-term studies happen as to what needs to go on within our district, and then possibly come back for an item or two, maybe 1 or 2 years, hopefully just 1 year from now, when we've got a better understanding of what we'd be looking for.
But-
Thank you.
So it'd still be a two-phase.
I'd still be thinking two-phase, but I'd be more likely to say, so it sounds like what you're saying is one bond now and one bond later, two smaller bonds than two smaller bonds. Is that about right? I'd be saying go with the sinking fund that can help us continue to patch things up while we're studying bigger
And then hit
items
them with the,
with a bigger item or
Bigger.
two.
Trustee Barry?
Thank you. I kind of like where trustee Petrichoff's going with this. We ask for a sinking bond now, then wait a couple of years and go out and ask for $250 million or maybe even more. All people can remember is we just gave you some money. Why are you asking us for more money? Timing is everything. Timing is everything. If we go out this year to get a sinking bond passed, if we go out for 1 mil, it's 4.3.
You're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
$4.3 million. If we ask for 1.5, it's closer to $6 million. I'm feeling like, let's just hold off. Let's wait for this 30-year study. To me, that's gonna be very, very important to what we do forward. Yes, it's only 1,000 people, but it's a survey probably representing thousands of people. I get that part. There are probably people out there that would probably never support a a bond, or never support a fourth high school, something like that. They're probably not even aware that we even having this discussion.
Right.
I get that part. You and I and Jim and Irene and all 7 of us, we have a good pulse on this community. So this is no surprise. The fact that the committee came back, that's no surprise. I just don't think we're ready. I honestly don't think we're ready. So if we wait for this 30-year study, we direct our superintendent and his team to start looking for land, possibly. If it comes back, that maybe, I think we have a good idea what the 30-year study is gonna tell us. We know what some of our buildings look like. I'm okay saying this, I just had a discussion with trustee Thorpe before we got into this meeting. He came from, we won't mention the district, but he came from another high school in a different district, and he said, wow, their baseball diamonds, turf. And it's like, and I asked him point blank, I'm very familiar with that building, did you walk into that building? Because if you would have walked into that building, he would have saw state-of-the-art classrooms, all the resources for teachers. We don't have that. We don't have that. So we need to get bold, but timing is everything. I don't think this is the right time. People are hurting. We're coming out of a global pandemic. Okay, let's not even talk about tax prices, inflation, this thing called, 2024 coming at us. And I'm gonna keep it clean. It's not just tonight, for the last few meetings, and it's what we hear on the community. People are not happy right now, for whatever reasons. It's all about timing.
It's 2024.
I'm sorry?
Can you explain 2024?
Presidential. It's gonna get, my gut feeling is it's gonna get
phenomenal.
ugly.
Yeah.
People are gonna hurt. The real estate market, I hate to admit it, but it's probably not looking so good. I know my colleagues are gonna kick my you-know-what for saying that, but that's the truth. We need to have some compassion for our constituents, and I know we need money. And some of the people are in this room right here, I start out, and David was there when the meeting was here, and I said, look, we need money, and people were like, wanted to throw rotten eggs at me or something. We do need money. But if we hold off on a sinking fund, it's anywhere from $4 to $6 million just this first year. By then, we would have that study back. We would have a good idea. There's some intelligent people at this table, even though some people don't think so. We'll figure out what we need to do moving forward, what's in the best interest of our district. I think if we need to find 4 to 6, I don't see us going out for 2 mills or more because that raises taxes. And we don't want people to say, hey, they're gonna raise taxes on us. It does, it raises taxes right from the gate. So I think somehow, some way, we have a very intelligent person in the finance department. You can probably find the $460 million to get to what we need to get to that first year. If next year we can't go out for a bond, then okay, then we think about a 10-year sinking fund, just to kind of tell the administration that let's get to those repairs that we're behind. Those are my thoughts, but a bond I definitely wouldn't support right now. Thank
Trustee
you.
Watts?
Trustee Moses before me.
No, go ahead, trustee Watts, it's Mother's Day this week.
I think in today's climate, I mean, gas right now, I think is $4.49. I would be hesitant to go forward with the bond, not having the 30-year study. I think having that 30-year study, having that data to be able to say, like, at what point is the building still refurbished versus new. I think having that data, I think that's what our community is asking for. And I think right now it's somewhat incomplete, so.
Trustee Moses?
For those who know me, I have a good house. Turns out to be, I make good money and I can afford taxes in Dearborn. Somebody who comes and buys the house next to me, it's gonna be uncapped. That house has been on the market for a while. So their taxes are gonna go up. They're worried about that. My uncle recently actually had a car accident where his kids were involved in a car accident when they were crossing Lanio Street to go to a charter school in Detroit. His kids we could have been in funeral proceedings, and it's been on the news. I could share that with all of you. And because that school did not provide a crossing guard, that's the main reason why they got into that car accident. Those three children, two are his, they were my, obviously, first cousins. Could have been dead. It's pretty much greed, unfortunately, negligence of everyone, even the parents included. I mean, the parents were at the, they're watching, but they can't prevent that car driver, distracted driver
Trustee
from.
Moses,
Yeah.
can we get back to the point at hand, please?
I'm bringing you to the point of it. And I'm sorry for rambling, but it's very important that we understand this point. It's very important that we invest in our schools. I'm willing to pay more taxes as an individual who is, I make more than the average resident of Dearborn makes, probably, my guess. But others can't. Others are hurting. And those who are, especially new families who are thinking about moving to Dearborn, they're thinking twice because of the amount of taxes. Now, there is something happening in Dearborn which is bigger probably than all. Our biggest taxpayer is selling land. The Oval Ford is selling land in Dearborn. It's no secret. They just sold a huge 5-acre, 6-acre on Rotunda to a business. I think we missed out on that opportunity. Now, we could have been alerted. Probably we should have a better relationship with our biggest taxpayer in our city, to say, what land are you willing to sell, or at least hopefully donate, since they have been so good to us. Most of our schools are named after that company. I think we have to really look outside the box of saying, from the survey, Trustee Petlishkov, it is a good result. I mean, when people do pollings, they get very, very small numbers returned. And for that many, if I can finish, if for that many to return, and I know the uptick, and once I reached out to individuals and I asked them, I need your opinion on this, and I put it up on social media, and I asked David to extend it for one more day, and probably if we thought about other creative ways, we could have garnered more support. I know it seems like the way that we're disseminating or sending information is not working, or it's not working in the optimal way. We have to look at creative ways of getting people now engaged. And there is obviously social media is a huge aspect. And how do we reach folks? But yeah, I do agree. Perhaps I am actually more leaning toward a sinking fund so we can keep the amount of money coming to our schools so we can take care of those bathrooms, so we can take care of the leaking, or the very, very old boilers that may break. So, very, very important items that need to be fixed with a lot of money, And perhaps we need to look into, if we're not gonna go for a bond in November, or I'm sorry, for a proposal in November in a sinking fund, we're gonna be dropped, what, another mill? Potential?
Actually.
If we do nothing.
If we do nothing, part of our current debt millage will fall off next year. We'll go from 3.5 to just a little over 1 mil.
Oh, so that's 2
so-
point.
So there's a significant drop in the mill rate if we do nothing, and then it will be next year. So just know that now if you go out to the voters, it is not going to be maintaining, it will be an increase. I know it's just semantics and it's just in the wording, but it is realistic. In saying, are you going to maintain 3.5 mils for the next 20 years, which is what would be honest thing to say right now. That's what we're asking. That's what
That's
we'd
what
be asking.
that's not what a sinking fund, that's with a
No.
bond.
No, that's with a bond.
Yes.
3.5 for the next 20 years.
Yes.
If the board were to go with a sinking fund option, you could levy as much as 3 mils. That's the maximum. But if you did.
Without raising,
but if you
with
did-
keeping that, not raising the.
3
thing.
would be a slight increase. So if you did 2, you would keep it under the 3.5, because it would drop off, and then you would add 2, so you would keep it under the 3.5. The
For
other
a
thing
maximum of 10 years, just
for a
the-
maximum of 10 years, but the other part of that is that the voters approve it for 10 years, but the board every year has to decide if they want to continue to levy that millage. So you could make a promise to the voters and say, we are going to go for a sinking fund, a 10-year sinking fund, with the thought of doing a 30-year study, then coming back to you with a bigger bond proposal, and if that bond proposal passes, we will then eliminate that sinking fund. So you could do that. And
Can
if
it
you-
be a certain number of years, or does it have to be 10?
It has to be 10 years.
It has to be 10.
But you can stop it anytime you
Yeah,
want.
you don't have to use
You
it
don't
for the
have to
10.
go 10 years.
I
You
understand.
can stop it sooner.
So, I know, I wasn't on this board, and an example of that is Henry Ford College in 2013. I remember as a citizen, this elected body, not us, obviously, maybe trustee Barry, you were there? When you asked for that mill, for help from Henry Ford College?
There were a few of us there.
Yeah.
I know, but I want to make a point, because we said we're going to have a temp mill, and I remember well, that this is how it was sold to us.
Let me put it this way. You
Yes.
tell the voters that we're gonna go out for this 10-year sinking fund, but we promise you within 3 years, we're gonna turn it off. That's like pretty much the lawyers saying, trust me, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay, but I want to make it clear so the citizens understand, because I'm talking facts here of
Yeah.
of what happened.
You wanna have the discussion? Yeah, let's have
Yes,
it.
2013,
Yeah,
Henry Ford College wanted to levy another mill to get some help because of financial hardship for 5
Correct.
years.
correct.
2018, same.
It wasn't 2013, but it was.
Was it 2013? I think it was 2013. Trustee McDonald or trustee
2015?
Petlicoff?
Whenever it was.
Oh, 2015.
It
because
happened.
The renewal was,
2018.
okay,
2018, we came back, or not we, sorry, the Board of Education came back and said, hey, Henry Ford College actually needs this money. We need to renew it again. It's not,
I think it would help you if I just quote the
Please.
former trustee Joe Guido, that once you pass a bond, sinking bond, or what have you, you don't give it back to the taxpayers. And taxpayers aren't gonna forget that. We do what we did a few years ago.
Yeah.
There's still people talking about that, so My strong, strong recommendation is if there's support to move in all in, get very, very bold and get to work. We don't have that much time. You need to get to work. Or let's just wait off. Let's just wait. Wait for that 30-year study.
But you do realize we're
Let
gonna
me
lose.
finish. Let's wait for that 30-year study. Then I want to get your point out because I have an answer for it.
Yeah.
Let's get that 30-year study. Let's have a good idea. Let's put a plan together. Let's put a plan together, what we want to do. Then honestly, 7 people here, the superintendent, that everybody trusts, a lot of other people out there will trust us when we said, this is something that we waited, we did it the right way. We need, for the future of this district, when we say student first, let's mean it's student first. For the future of this district. The kids that aren't even born, we're thinking about them. We can go out there and sell it. Now go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, go ahead.
You were gonna ask something about,
Yes, so we're gonna lose 2-point mills next year.
and that's why I said, and I heard, right off the gate, I heard our colleague, trustee Petchikoff, say that you're gonna ask for money now and come back and ask for more money. That's not good. Could you imagine the sinking bond not passing? What a slap in the face that would be. If we get that sinking bond passed this year, we would have to have a discussion. I wouldn't support 2 mills. I mean, I would support 1 mill, maybe settle on 1.5. That's $6 million. Can we get through this year and find $6 million someplace to do whatever we need to do? That's the only difference.
Yeah,
It's the only difference.
okay, I have something to say as
So
well.
a year from now, but even before, like let's say 8 to 10 months from now, we can reopen up the discussion and do the right thing for our district.
I want to mention something that is very clear, and I want to kind of defend myself, because I've been attacked on social media, on emails, phone calls, how you don't want Lori anymore, you don't want Fortson anymore. Today I'm wearing the school that I went to, Fortson's Penn 100th anniversary. We're going to celebrate it May 14th. I take pride in my high school. Everywhere I go. I go to Florida, if I say Fortson, somebody's going to raise their hand. This is the first $1 million high school in the country. It has been now registered as something that is preserved history. My neighbor, next door neighbor, Miss Jane Arndt, just passed away this December. She graduated from Fortson in 1950. Her sister, Carol Knapp, graduated from Fortson in 1951. She went to Henry Ford Community College and graduated in 1962 or 63. So I want to make sure that our history is reserved in this town. We're very proud of our culture, Dearborn culture, the Henry Ford culture. This hometown of Henry Ford needs to stay as the hometown of Henry Ford. There are individuals who are stirring the pot, who are saying, oh, I just need brand new buildings, and I want to increase the tax to the max. You're gonna tax us like no tomorrow, and only rich people will live in Dearborn. That's the word on the street. And I wanna make sure that is being addressed. That's not who I am. And I'm sorry that you got bad information. I would love to come and sit down for Yemeni coffee and talk about.
Okay.
Let me,
We
if I
need to
can.
get back to the
We're at the
discussion about
30-minute
bond.
limit.
I know, we have a study session. We can stay here until 1
No, it's a
a.m.
30
No,
minutes
we got a
limit.
30-minute
Is it
time
30?
limit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would like to hear from trustee D'Ambrosio, maybe
I was
President
going to just-
Roxanne McDonald. You can wrap up, please.
I was just going to ask trustee
Yeah, let's
D'Ambrosio.
wrap
if
Can I
he has
wrap up
something to
then?
add to the
Can you
conversation.
allow me to wrap up or no?
I think let's give trustee D'Ambrosio some time.
Sure, please.
Right.
I will,
Well-
I agree.
You know, I was on the other side of the fence when we tried to pass the last bond. And basically, we didn't do our homework correctly, and that's why it got defeated. And I feel that if we don't go out and sell this bond, or whatever we choose to do properly, it's gonna get turned down again. So we need to do our due diligence, do everything that we need to do before we go out and make this proposal.
I agree. The way I've been looking at it is similar to trustee Thorpe, is we do need to do the long-term study. We need to know what we have facing us in 30 years. We have to understand how we can best handle that going forward for our future students, as trustee Barry said. My concern though, and we have to get our ducks in a row, we have to know exactly what we need to do, and that has to be a good product that we believe in, that we can present to our constituents, to our community, and that they can embrace it and believe in it too. My concern though, I was originally thinking about doing that and going with a sinking fund just to get us by. Trustee Barry makes a good point, as does trustee Petchikoff. You go more than once, people are going to just say, I can't do it anymore. So my thought is, let's get it together, let's get a good package that we can present to our community that they will embrace as well. But my concern is, what do? We know we've had needs. We have some needs. We've had needs since we lost the last bond. So how do we tackle those needs and do what we can do for our students that we have in buildings now, where these needs are? So there's got to be something. I don't know if we can find the money somewhere else. Maybe we should go for a sinking fund. These are hard questions, but we have to look to the future, but we can't neglect our students that we have now. We have to make sure that those buildings are maintained, that they have what they need. So that's where I am.
So kind of to answer your question, and Tom isn't here, but we would have to basically, either there's an option, and Dave can also, is aware of this, you can go from a general fund bond if we wanted, that wouldn't be a ballot, but then you have to replenish that with money. So what we would have to do is some of the most immediate needs, we're gonna have to pull it from other areas. So we know that, I mean, we're a people business, so we would have to be very careful. We know we're a little overstaffed right now because of COVID, but we know we get retirements. So, we would do our best in any case so we don't have layoffs, but it may mean that we're losing positions that would provide services. So we would have to start doing that, and that's what Tom has talked about. We would have to start moving some more money gradually every year from the general fund. Or, we've done the HVAC that we're doing with the COVID relief. ESSER funds is helping. We've moved millage funding. We use for the purchase of the buildings on the college, we use the money from the sale of the old Howe building. So we've done some things creatively already, but what we would have to do is when we do have major issues, we gotta make sure that the boilers are going and that, we don't have leaky roofs and things like that. So we would have to start shifting. We'd have to make that decision to shift our resources, and we would have to be very cautious about it because the federal funding will be going away in the next year and a half. Yeah. So that would be how we would approach it. Those are a couple of options. If you did bond it out, you would have to then pay it back from your general fund dollars. So that would be what Mr. Wall and his team would recommend if we didn't go for something now, so that we take care of those most immediate needs. So there is that plan, but it is gonna mean that we can't do everything that is in that list from, the committee and the priorities and we just have to accept that fact that we have to do the most important things to keep instruction running, and other enhancements and things we may not be able to either continue, or we may have to look at other options.
And that's concerning to me, because one of the things that we've just praised about and really have needed is additional counseling services now for our students. So, these are the things that we have to weigh, and that would be something that we would have to lose, which I hate to see that, because our students need it really bad now. So our community has to understand, we are looking out for all of our students. We're doing the best. These are hard discussions. These are hard issues. But what we have to do is balance the needs of future students with the needs of the students we have now. We have to look at everything comprehensively. We have to understand that our communities are hurting. I'm with trustee Moseb in the fact that I'm in a place in my life right now. I mean, we're not well off, but I don't have a problem paying more taxes if I know where they're going. But there are a lot of people that aren't in that same situation, that, live paycheck to paycheck. And I've lived that life before, but I'm beyond that now at this point in my life. So Hard decisions.
What-
Trustee Barry?
Dr. Malika, what I'm hearing tonight is the majority of the board is saying, if we have that study in front of us, we can move forward. Is that what, are we on the same page?
That's what I'm hearing. That's
Okay.
the direction you're giving us.
Okay.
And to be honest, I highly recommend the 30-year study.
Yeah,
I think that's important, even if we were to decided to do a sinking fund, I think that 30-year study, but if we needed to hold off, I'm comfortable with that. I think I said it publicly at the last
Yeah.
study session as well. We just kind of need to have a direction that if we did want to go, tonight would give us a direction, but it seems like we don't. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Do the 30-year study, move forward on that. We listen to the community.
Sure.
Because there's some differing opinions out there. People want to invest in the schools, they understand the importance. So we can get out there and do the plan under Mr. Wall and Mr. Mustin and with these companies. So we would have to contract, we're bid it out. Tom's been meeting with these companies that we were gonna do most likely anyway, as long as the board approved it. So I would say then we know what we need to do as administration. If that's what we're kind of hearing the direction, we'll get on that. And we'll take it'll take us probably the year to get that. I think it's about 9 months, isn't it, David? 9 months to 12 months.
Yeah.
And that way we'll know what we need to do between new and old. I see you nodding, so.
am I correct
Awesome.
the way I'm thinking is that we don't have to create another committee? We have all the information from the community, nothing's gonna change in the next few months.
No.
We really don't need to do a survey or any forums or anything like that, we just need that 30-year
Well,
study.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, you can say something, no, go ahead.
Part of that 30-year study, what they do is they interview and talk with all your stakeholders, employee groups, parent groups, community
sure. Oh, yeah,
groups.
that's
So there would be a continuous feedback and input would continue, as well as if they did do any surveys, they wouldn't be, what we do are finger in the wind surveys to
Yeah.
test the wind.
Yeah.
They would be more about like what we did in 2021, where we hired a professional company that does a statistically accurate study. So if they did, or survey, so if they did any additional surveys, it would be more along those lines, as well as engaging the community in various forms.
Sure. So what's the timeline for this 30-year study?
It does take them anywhere from 6 to 9 months.
So 9 months from now, we should be able to start our campaign if we decide to go that route. That's the point I was trying to get at, is we can probably shave off a couple months from the process that we're used to. So you don't stress and say, hey, I need to,
Yeah, the data
But,
that we have will be helpful to the.
exactly. I don't think anything's
well,
gonna change,
Yeah.
at least.
And it's a third party, so it's kind of like someone coming in I
And-
mean, we still need to bid it out, but I know you guys
Right.
have been meeting with them already.
And one advantage that we have is that Mark and his team, we have the physical side of the study done.
Sure,
We know what the needs are for every single building, and we know what that price tag is. So all of that work being done will help in the process.
Sure.
So you are right, Trustee.
Let me just wrap up real quick. The committee, the VIP, thank you very much for the time you put in. It was not time wasted. This is still, we're gonna follow the direction you gave us. The survey, everybody took that survey, this is in this direction. If we were to follow exactly, and I know like Trustee Petrikov said, it was only 1,000 people. If we were to follow exactly what the survey's telling us, where's the land? Where's the plans? We're talking about still 4 or 5 years out. So I don't think 1 year, taking a step back for a year, get a solid plan, then each one of us will go out and sell that plan if that's what we want, and I think we'll have a successful.
And not just sell the plan, believe in the
Well,
plan.
I want to be able to sell it to myself first.
Absolutely, absolutely. The one thing
I'm
that I
done.
would like you to do also, Dr. Malenko, with the immediate needs, I know we've had the list, but since we're talking about, I want to know what are the immediate, what has to happen? What do we have to have now or for the next year
We have that.
to survive, to continue to thrive, to be able to meet our students and service our students and,
So we have that, but we also know that sometimes with older facilities and that, you
Yeah.
can run into a situation where you have an unexpected cost, so we plan for that as well.
Sure,
Right.
So we have to understand that we might have something that, we have this plan, and then all of a sudden, you know, we got the old elevators or
Oh, yeah, we're
the,
used to that.
you know, the old boiler or something, the old pool with the old
The
equipment.
old sewer pipes.
Sewer, yeah, sewer pipe at Oakman, you know, those kind of things that might happen.
So
that
those are
we-
part of our budget right now, but if
Right,
we
yeah.
have some like major
Then we would
something, then
have
we
to.
have to tap into our rainy day fund, that's why
Yes.
it's there.
That would be another thing, is that we could look at
That's-
tapping
yeah.
a portion into the rainy, because
We've been building it up.
we've been careful with it, and we've used that, you know, how thankfully, the Wayne County enhancement millage, and I'm gonna have this on, the Wayne County enhancement millage is helping us quite a bit. Even though we're not the ones that put it on the ballot, it does help with some of these, items, and we've used it for infrastructure needs too. Going back, for example, the Dearborn High expansion, other things we've used the millage, so.
Okay.
Motion
Is
to
everyone
adjourn?
comfortable with where we're at?
Can we extend the meeting or no?
There's nothing that,
I have something, I think I was cut off. I wanted to make a point, and I feel like I'm muted.
Okay, no, let me just say something.
Sure.
I would love you to make your point, but can you make the point and try not to get on tangent stories here and there?
Yeah, I think I tell the
Please.
stories because I want to, probably I should take some more classes on making my points clear in a quicker manner. Thank you. I should. I promise you I will. But here's the situation. We have Fortson High School, it's going to turn 100 years old. We keep investing in very old buildings. I want to preserve that architecture. Fortson was expanded in 2003, 2004, because I studied, when I went there, I was on a trailer. Can you imagine selling a trailer right now with all of this climate right now? So I went to to Farmington High School virtual tour of their schools, state of the art. I did not go step into that school. And that school looks amazing. Trustee Barry already mentioned. I want to have a similar school like that in my backyard as a fourth high school if we we're going to build one. And the older buildings need to be redone, razed to the ground, and using the architects, the amazing architects, to do the same amount of design. We're preserving history, but at the same time, my son, my daughter, the daughters of the constituents and the sons will go to a school where they can breathe better. Thank you.
Okay, is that all? Everybody's happy? Well, I wouldn't go that far. Meeting's adjourned.
Everybody's.